Well, here it is. I've changed my mind about carnivore. Yep, I've been on carnivore now for about 18 months and I have had some incredible results. I've lost a heap of weight and had all sorts of health benefits come into my life that are well documented in other videos. But I have changed my mind on a number of key fundamental principles of carnivore, if you like. And today I just wanted to share with you what those changes of mind are. You see, I used to think that carnivore is very simple. In fact, you can sum it up in just 4 words. Just eat meat and drink water. It's really that simple. I used to tell people that all the time, that it's a very simple formula, and it is. Eat meat, drink water. Nothing could be simpler than that. And I used to get very exasperated with people's endless questions, like, can I have such and such on carnivore? Can I have coffee? Can I have coconut? Can I have avocado? Can I have fruit? Can I have vegetables? And they seem to me like stupid questions. They were a no-brainer because on carnivore you eat meat, drink water. But as I said, I've changed my mind and I wanted to share with you in this video today 4 key areas that I have changed my mind about carnivore over the time that I've been on it. So what have I changed my mind about? Here they are. The first thing I've changed my mind about is that carnivore starts with what's on your plate. In other words, you've got to get the junk off your plate and you've got to get healthy food on your plate. Now, that is fundamentally right, but I don't think it starts there. You see, what many people do, the way many people start carnivore, is that they are conscious that they're overweight. And they've tried every other diet under the sun, and they look upon carnivore as the next fad diet, the next hot topic that has come along. And so they decide, I'm going to give it a go. So many people start with that attitude. I'm going to try this out and give it a go. It's the next fad diet and you never know, it just might work. So I'm going to give it a shot. Now, I'm not critical of that mindset because that's the way I started carnivore. But I've observed so many people since that have started with that same attitude that have quit. They have not lasted any time at all on carnivore. You see, here's what I think now. I think that it does fundamentally mean changing what's on your plate, but before you do that, you've got to change your mindset. Carnivore has to begin not with a change of what's on your plate, but what's going on in your head. In other words, there has to be a line in the sand moment when you decide, I am now going to take full responsibility for my own health. You see, it sounds a simple thing, but that decision, that moment, that line in the sand is huge because there's no turning back from that. You accept responsibility for your health. I think that's true with everything in life, but especially on the carnivore diet. You see, we've got to change the script that goes on in our head. We fundamentally believe deep down that we cannot change, that we've tried before and we've always failed, so we'll fail again. We tell ourselves it's too late for us. We tell ourselves that, look, this is just the way it is now. I have to accept the fact that I'm getting older and that I'm going to carry excess weight and I'm going to be going to doctors a lot more and my life is going to be limited by my health. We believe that, and it is a lie from the pit of hell. You've got to change that mindset and believe that I am the one who's responsible for my health. I'm going to change the script going on in my head and I am going to change my life, change my destiny. And the day we do that, the day we take that step, everything begins to change. Okay, the second thing that I've changed my mind about is that carnivore is a one-size-fits-all kind of diet, that this is the right diet for everybody. It's called by Ken Berry, who I really admire, the proper human diet, and we're told that this is really the only way to eat. And again, in essence, I believe that, and I continue to be committed to it. But is it the only way to eat? Is it one size fits all? And as a result of my own experience and 1,000 stories that I've heard too, I'd say it's absolutely not the only way. You see, we believed a mindset. We start off very gung-ho thinking, we're going to do this. We're going to just go 100% pure carnivore, and that's the way it is. And I used to think that too, that, you've got to be committed to this. You've got to stay carnivore and so on. And many of my videos, I've espoused that view. But I've come to realize that, this is a journey, not a destination. This is a life calling. And what is far more important than the label, I am a carnivore, is the mindset that I am on a journey to improve my health. And look, the bottom line is not that you wear a label. The bottom line is that you are improving your health. So the questions that I used to get very frustrated with now become very real. Can I have fruit on carnivore diet? Well, it's carnivore. Of course you can't. But my approach now to people who ask those questions is try it and see. You see, I was pure carnivore for a whole year pretty much, with hardly a variation from it. But after a year, I began doing a couple of little things. I started adding half an avocado to my egg and bacon in the morning. I would occasionally have a pear or a piece of fruit. Now, I know the reality of the fructose in fruit, and I know the problem of lectins in some veggies. But look, I got to tell you now, I think, you find your own path. You are navigating this journey. You are captain of your ship. Look, if you got to keep in mind your health goals. For me, I wanted to lose weight, and I wanted to reverse a whole heap of medical conditions. And I have done that. I've had, if you like, 100% success in that way. But now I start to think, well, can I have avocado? Well, my approach is now, I'm going to try it and see. So I added some avocado and I observed my weight very carefully and my general well-being very carefully. And I discovered that I did not put weight on and I still felt fantastic and I was enjoying life. And so I kept up with the avocado. There were other things that I tried adding that I knew immediately were wrong, because you get that message from your body and you learn to listen to your body on carnivore. This is true with things like adding coffee, adding a glass of wine occasionally, all of these things, all of these grey areas, if you like, you've got to work it out for yourself. I love that verse in the Bible that says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Work out your own health journey. I believe in the principles of carnivore. I believe that carnivore is a proper human diet. But look, when it comes to can I do this or can I try that, my approach now is just try it and see. Listen to your body and adjust. Keep in mind your health goals. For me, I didn't want to put the weight back on. I'd carried that weight for decades. I wanted to keep it off, and I have kept it off. And I watch that very carefully. I also watch my energy levels and things like that. These are the things that matter to me, not so much, am I true carnivore? Someone just the other day was listening to what I eat now, and they said, well, you're not carnivore anymore, you're more ketovore. And I said, look, I don't care about the label, I care about my health, and I will do what's right for me. So I have at times been a little bit less than true carnivore because I've had a bit of I've had a few veggies or I've had a bit of a glass of wine. I'm not talking about every day by any means, but just now and then I include these things. I observe what's happening and I think, yeah, that's okay. I'm doing well. I haven't put on the weight. I'm still feeling good. Now, you might want to argue with me. That's okay. This is something you've got to work out for yourself, and you've got to work out your own journey here. For me, I've found that I have to keep the electrolytes up and I have to keep my fluids up and I have to stay hydrated. And so I take electrolytes each day. Should you take electrolytes each day? Well, that's up to you. You've got to work this out for yourself. I would recommend you give it a go, but, it's ultimately your decision. This is what I'm saying here. And then there's things like supplements. I have not gone mad on supplements. But during the winter months, when there's not much sun, I take some vitamin D and I also take magnesium. And I take a little bit of iodine after listening to some of the respected carnivore doctors speak about the importance of iodine. So those are the three things I take. But look, as I say it again, I'll only say it one more time. You've got to work out your own journey. You've got to work out your own pathway. You've got to do what's right for you and stay with that. It's your health that matters, not the label. So do I stay 100% carnivore? Sometimes not. Mostly yes, but sometimes not. And I'm okay with that. A third area in which I've changed my mind is that, a mindset that says diet is all that matters. How important is what we eat? It is vitally important, let me tell you. I do not believe that you can radically change your health without radically changing your diet. Diet is fundamental, and some people think, I'm going to eat what I like, but I'm going to start exercising. Well, you'll never exercise your way out of a bad diet. Health is determined by diet, but it does not stop there. I used to think that, your diet was the only thing that mattered, but I've come to see that you've got to tailor your approach to suit yourself. I believe fundamentally, if nothing else, on carnivore, you've got to get outside and move your body. Now, that could mean all sorts of things to you in your situation, but, I think that's a given. You've got to get outside where the fresh air is. This is why I record my videos outside. I'm sitting here in the Gippsland Lakes where I've recently moved house to and loving it here. But you've got to get outside. For me, I've added other things. I've added daily practices that have been meaningful and significant and helpful to me. I've added things like a daily session of gratitude, just 5 or 10 minutes, speaking out what I am grateful for. I've added breath work and breath exercises and some of the Wim Hof stuff. I do cold plunge and I do sauna. I practice earthing, walking bare feet on the earth and using earthing products in my home. There's a listed down below in the comments, the contact for that. I lift weights each morning, just about 10 minutes of lifting some weights and getting some resistance training into my routine. I've recently started using some red light therapy, and I'll be making a video on that soon. But look, most of these things you've heard me talk about, and they are commonplace in my life now. Now, should you do them all? I don't know. You've got to work out your own pathway, as I keep saying. But some of these things have been really beneficial to me in my health journey. And particularly, I'm sensitive to anything that I believe is going to give me, reduce my risk of a heart attack, because I've got such a strong family history of heart disease. And so certainly the sauna and the cold plunge and some of those things I do, purely because of my heart concerns. But look, this is what I mean. You've got to work out your own journey. You've got to add to carnivore. It begins with what's on your plate. Do not bypass that, but be open to explore different things and explore the benefits. Try them and see. Experiment. I've experimented with all of these things, and you've got to do the same. So you've got to add to your carnivore. It's beyond that which is just on your plate. You've got to make some lifestyle changes. Before I give you my fourth and final point, I would really like to invite you to join and become a member of this channel. To do that, you just click the join button below this video. Now, people who are members get some benefits that other people don't get. They get all of my videos 1 day earlier than other people. They also get some members-only videos where I talk more personal stuff and behind-the-scenes stuff, and they come out about once a month. But the biggest advantage of all is that I have a website with dozens and dozens of resources and PDFs that I put together that I sell, and members get all of those resources absolutely free of charge, and there's a great many of them. So have a look at that and consider becoming a member of a channel. It's my way of helping you, but also your way of helping me in a small way, and I commend that to you. But anyway, let's get back to my script. My fourth and final point is this. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about the label. It's about your health. You see, a lot of people start with an all or nothing approach, and sometimes there's benefit in doing that. You've just got to grit your teeth and do it. And I think that's pretty much how I started Carnivore. But it's not so much an all or nothing approach. It's about, am I making progress towards my goal? Sometimes there's wisdom in modifying your approach and not being so gung-ho and drastic all at once. Sometimes it can be one change at a time. Start changing one meal a day from, junk food to health food. Go for one walk a day. Do one session of exercise a day. And as you do that, it's one step, one step, one step. And those single steps gradually build momentum, and momentum is what's going to change your life. Look, I don't think it matters so much what you decide to do. All of those things I was listing a moment ago, all so important for me. But look, find out what's good for you, but be consistent at it. I think that's the key with everything. It's the key with your diet. It's the key with exercise. It's the key with any of these lifestyle changes, with grounding, with cold plunge, with sauna. All of these things, consistency becomes the key, because it is in consistency that you see real change. Any of these things you can do once or twice and think, well, that didn't work. I tried it and it was useless. Well, you've got to keep going and keep being consistent with it. And that's what I've found. I've had a cold plunge, for example, every day pretty much for nearly 12 months now. And it has now become a vital part of my routine. I'm consistent in it and I'm seeing real change from that. But look, whatever you do, be consistent. And so be your own biggest critic. Don't be your neighbour's biggest critic. Don't criticise your neighbour. Oh, you're not fully carnivore. You're not this. You're not wearing that label now. You've changed labels. Look, none of that matters. It's progress towards your health goals, that you want to lose weight. You want to be, you want to get years added on your life. You want your health back. You don't want your life to be going to doctors all day, every day. And those sorts of things, you've got to know your why and be consistent in that approach. Look, these are just some of the things that I've changed my mind about. I've modified Carnivore, if you like. Not drastically. You might say it's drastic. There might be, I'm sure there'll be naysayers out there that say, you've abandoned the post, you've deserted the ship. Well, say what you will, but I'm working out my own health. I'm on my own journey, and so are you. Look, I'd love to hear about what you've got on, how you've got on the carnivore diet. Is there anything that you've modified or changed or found helpful? Are there any add-ons that have been good for you? I'd love to hear. Drop a line in the comments and share your experience with me and with other people watching this channel. I'm going to leave a link above here at the end of the video here to a video that just changed my channel. This video got almost, not quite, 200 short of 100,000 views. That for me is the outlander of all outlanders. It was a video I made about the warnings I was given when I started Carnivore, because people will warn you and you've got to have answers for those. Look, if you missed it, have a look at it. I only need 200 more views to get it to 100,000. So there's my real motive here. But I'll leave a link up there. You can have a look and see if you can think why that video took off when others haven't. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. And until then, keep telling your story and God bless.